done. Good morning, Oro Valley. Boy, I've got an all-star group here. Thanks for sticking around, Tom. Good morning.
Morning.
Chief Riley. Good morning, Councilwoman Murphy. We got Tom Murphy, Carl Riley, and Mary Murphy in the room this morning. This is going to be fun.
Wow.
Okay, my work here is done.
We get to take over now and take it
Taking
home.
over the studio. We took a picture a minute ago near the studio. Yeah. And I looked around, and I'm like, we got to be quiet. And the four of us are standing there, and I'm like,
not going to happen.
I'm not going to throw you into that bunch, but I will throw these two.
That's right. No, you need
Chief in there.
We got Murphy squared.
Yeah. This is so cool.
Poor Chief stuck between two Murphs.
That's right.
So we've been planning this a couple of months probably.
Yeah.
And then I was so excited that you agreed to come on because you and I've never done a podcast. I've never done a podcast.
No, I don't
together.
think so. Only with Chris.
No, take that back. We did a live remote, so we'll call that a podcast.
Yes.
We did it out in the field out there in Marana.
Yes, we did.
Back in March.
Yep.
This is so cool. So Move is now Moves.
Thank you very much. That's why I stuck around.
Much needed added S.
I thought you were missing the S, so I figured I'd stay over and support the Move initiative.
We love everything that's going on down there.
We're trying.
Yeah.
We always work really well together.
Yeah, you do.
We're slightly competitive, though.
Yes, we are.
In that Oro Valley is still the safest
Yeah.
community in
Absolutely.
Arizona. Right,
And you can tell that does not bother me in the least.
Yeah.
Just
Nor
a
me.
smidge.
Yes, exactly.
You know, to address that,
Yes.
it's because you're proactive.
I would agree.
It's because the department is so proactive in our community. Mm-hmm. That's why not only do I feel like we're the safest in southern Arizona, I would say Arizona as a whole. Statistics support that.
Oh, yes. Last time it came out, Oro Valley was number one. And I
if
think
not
we were
nationally.
number 3.
How could you, God bless you if you could top us in that statistic, but we're just a safe community.
Never going to happen.
Nobody's
going to top us.
Yeah, we're fortunate. I think, the credit has to be to the officers and the whole team. It's always what I talk about is it's the holistic view of it. It's the community, but also our volunteers, our police officers, our 911 operators, records, property evidence. It just takes a whole group that works so tirelessly for this community. They love it. They take it very personal, and they don't like it when crime occurs.
Yeah. No, and they're almost like your department's almost like old school. When I was a kid growing up, they were in the community.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
They were in the community. They were participating. They were at the park. They were out at night. They got to know the kids. I can think of some of my earlier mentors when I was a teenager were police officers that were out at night.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a difference maker. Is you're not just enforcing the law. You're members of the community working from the inside out.
And being proactive.
Absolutely.
Community policing is
Community
very
policing.
important.
And if you don't believe that they have the support of the community, we had the recent contract issue.
Yes.
Think about how many people showed up at town hall
Yeah.
to participate and support the police
We're
officers.
very blessed with the residents are very supportive of our police.
It was overwhelming how many people, in a good way,
Yes.
how many people showed up and packed. Tom, I'm telling you, I was there for all those.
I saw the pictures.
And I was there with the OVC in. It was just amazing how many people in our community show up because typically you don't have 500 people show up to a council meeting. Fair enough?
Yeah, I would say statistically it's usually those big ticket items that get people to come out. And we want to hear from everybody, whatever side you're on. But it's the swell of support for first responders is not lost on me and our residents, and that's why we work very closely, our council, with our police officers.
Especially in this environment when there's not as much as there was a few years ago, but still there.
Absolutely,
they're still lingering. Defund the police, or and to have that must feel good.
Yeah. We've been very fortunate. So I've been the police chief for 5.5 years, took over as that movement was occurring. And certainly the council has never wavered from their support, and neither has our community of the police. And I think that's been instrumental with being able to stay competitive with things in regards to pay and compensation for our staff, but also equipment. There's never been any wavering from that. And so that's something where, it's always been my message that we just have to stay steady and always maintain what the community expects, which is the community expectations are a high police presence, and they want us to be able to respond to all calls for service. And so I was recently at an event, and somebody questioned me about the fact that we don't take police reports online, and thought that was not a good idea. And I just explained that we have a different philosophy in policing, and it's okay. Yeah,
there are certain things you can do online. You and I were spending a lot of time a few minutes ago discussing that. But policing, maybe the reports and stuff after the fact.
Yeah, we'll take telephone reports, but we're not going to take a crash report online and things to that effect. And so just something that we philosophically have been able to, and frankly, our council's been supportive in allowing that staffing levels, which then allow us to be able to maintain that philosophy.
Well, we moved to Oro Valley in 2002. From Phoenix for 2 reasons. Well, 3. To be closer to family. My mother was still with us at that time and wanted to be closer to her. Schools and safety. And we did a lot of research before we moved here about the schools and safety. And it was a kind of a no-brainer when we made that move. Our kids were little. And I feel like over that 23, almost a quarter century now that we've been there, our level of both has increased rather than stagnate or decrease, which is a part of a growing community, a community that's forward thinking with its leadership. Because we can get pretty complacent pretty quick if things are good. Fair enough?
Sure.
Let's just put it on cruise control. And I've made the statement in different positions that I'm involved in, we can't afford to do that.
Right.
And people my age could do that. I always say I could actually ride this out, but that would be irresponsible of me because I'm looking around the room of these younger people with children, and I'm thinking, at the very least, I need to be supportive of that.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to come to you, Mary. That's where the leadership as a whole in this community is so valuable.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I talked about the first podcast that we talked about, community policing. And, I came right out of the gate and I said, Chief, you tell me what you need. I'm not an expert in this field. But my job is to represent residents, the most amount of residents I possibly can, look around the corner in terms of those big items, safety, things like that. And I said, Chief, you tell me what you need to continue to keep our safety at the level that it is right now. And you've got my support wholeheartedly.
Brother Joe and I were just talking about that. Of all the things you can know, I know about that much.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So I just want to support you with what you do, but I don't know what you do. So share with me, what you do.
And I think it's, to Councilmember Murphy's point, we foster that leadership internally, which basically says, my way is not always the right way. So we really do foster that leaders who are looking at the future, and they're looking, 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead of what do we need to be prepared for. And so that's something that's important, which also goes to succession planning and training that we're doing with our young leadership. So as there is movement and as we exit out of the profession, the new set comes up, they're so much better than we are. They're amazing. And it's so exciting to see. That said, I was just telling Mayor Murphy about his young leadership at his police agency and how they're fantastic leaders. And so it's really exciting to see all of us kind of doing the same thing, pushing forward into the future.
And I'm happy to see that. We're having a lot more applicants for openings where a few years ago, the ranks were getting thin, no pun intended, for that. So now we're seeing much more interest because of that defunding nonsense, going away and really supporting because if you're not in a safe community, and when I'm out talking, it's always, to your point, the condition of the schools and the safety of the community. That's what helps bring retailers in and sell homes.
Absolutely.
So I think we have 6 in the academy right now.
Yeah.
So it's really for a for an elected leader, it's really exciting to see the quality and the interest that's increasing after the profession has been, getting beat up on over the last few years, which obviously is, unfortunate and crazy that would even go there.
2 points. I remember, first off, I had the opportunity to work with a lot of your younger officers and meet a lot of younger officers recently with the contract situation. Man, you guys are in good shape.
It's amazing,
really,
right?
there's some 30-something-year-old people over there that
rock
are
stars.
really sharp
Yeah.
people. And I was very impressed.
Very good, yeah.
Back to your point about a few years ago when there was a little more pressure than there is now, I had several young people that had just recently joined law enforcement. And some of them didn't make it.
Yeah.
Some of them, and my advice to all of them, and there was probably 5 or 6 at one point came through here, not together, thank goodness, but is no one can tell you what to do. I mean, this has to be something you feel in your own heart, do your research, don't throw away what you've got involved. But at the end of the day, if this is too much for you, you got to be able to sleep at night. And so and I'd say about half stayed, and I see them around. The other half chose to go other directions because it was just so intense in that.
Sure,
What are we talking 21, 22? It was just intense. I wouldn't want to take, especially if I'm new. That'd be tough.
Yeah. We are also, what we also saw was that 20-year veteran leave, right?
Yes.
At 20 years.
Now, why would you put up with it
right.
at that point?
Yeah. So that was really unfortunate
Yes.
to lose that experience and that knowledge that departed our profession. So we are starting to see those effects of where we have very, very, very tenured, really, really new. And so there's just this in between that we're having to maneuver through and see what that looks like now.
But great leadership rises to that.
Yeah, I always tell my staff this: for every crisis is an opportunity.
Exactly.
And you just have to really look at what that focus is. And in the end, if you stay mission focused, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And that's what we focus on, is just serving this community the best we can with the best police service every day. And so certainly we're not perfect, but we try.
Now, we have a statement around here. We use it all the time. We use it for check your ego at the door.
Yes.
Because we have room to learn. And that is something that, I don't know if any of the three of you really know this, but it's something that Live the Dream Media is building right now. We're building a leadership program with some, because we were doing a few of these things, and I'm looking around at the people I know, and I'm looking at 3 right here. That's kind of a void that we have right now, is teaching good. It's an acquired skill, not something you're born with necessarily, although I think that can help.
Right.
And I know you as a community are involved in this because I see it. I've said that to Ed, now to John, is where's your bench? You got to be training up that, and spend a lot of time training up that next gen, because if we leave it all up here,
Right.
who's going to take care of us when we get older?
When I'm out presenting, that's what I'm always talking about, is get involved, stay involved. And politics can be harsh, as Mary
Sure
knows.
can. It sure can, but it's worth it. At the end of the day, what
Yeah.
you're just talking about, you've got to really truly feel it, to want to serve. And it's something we see with all of our amazing officers, and also in our elected officials. You really have to. It's not for the faint of heart.
No,
that's
it's
for
not.
sure.
You have to have a little
And
bit of thick
leadership
skin.
has different roles. I mean, it doesn't have to always be the person in front. Or someone that stands up and talks about leadership. It can be, I've said leadership can be as simple as a parent convincing their children to eat their vegetables.
Right.
Which starts at the basics, and your role of leadership is different than mine,
Sure.
yours different than hers.
And sometimes the best leadership happens behind the scenes.
Most of the
Right.
best leadership happens
happens
behind
It's
the
not
the
scenes.
really
scenes.
what you do when
Yeah.
you're being watched.
Yeah.
Right.
It's what you do when you're not
Yeah.
being
And
watched.
I
for
say
the
that all the
officers.
time to my boys. I always say, do the right thing
Yeah.
when no one's
Yeah.
looking.
Yeah.
And it's
What
what true leadership is, I think.
And
agree.
and this is so, to me, it's so normal the way we look at this, and yet it's that simple. But most people think it's got to be something else. It has to be this magical form of leadership. Actually, my experience has been the people that are leading or have a title probably shouldn't have. The Peter Principle, I'll just
Right.
use that. If you're familiar with it, if not, go home and check it out. But it's true. A lot of leaders are just title only, or they're in a position that they should have never been placed in. I learned a long time ago from a guy named Tommy Hopkins. Is that familiar with
No.
any of you? He's like, don't ask people for something that they don't have, because everybody's going to be frustrated in that. So back to the elected officials, we're working right now to elect some we got some candidates. We're running in Oro Valley. We're running in. I don't mean we, but there's 9 open seats. How about that? And I would.
You're referring to Marana?
Yeah, Marana and Oro Valley.
and Oro
And
Valley,
I've talked to people. People have talked to me. Let's put it that way, because I'm not out. Because you know what? I don't want to be twisting arms. Something you alluded to a while ago.
Well, as long as those candidates support our first
First
responders,
responders.
then I'm okay with it.
That's basically the first question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is where
It's
you
the
at
most
on
important
where you at
question
on
for me.
first responders? Where you at on public safety, and where you at on
Right.
schools?
Right. Yeah.
Not that elected officials in towns and cities have direct contact with schools, but they do.
Sure.
They can
Right.
influence a lot of that.
Well, and our officers have
Yeah.
direct contact.
Yes.
You know, that was the SROs. That's something that's really important to me.
Yeah,
I
we've
wanna see
grown
that
ours
continue.
over the
Yeah.
years, and a lot of not only crime, I think, is prevented
Yes.
by
100%.
that interaction with officers in a good setting, not in a bad setting necessarily. But also, we've solved crimes, especially within the schools, because there's that trusted officer that they have a relationship
Yes.
with that gets out in front of it. Because
How do the
unfortunately,
SROs work? What is?
So we have a triad approach with them. So they're a mentor, a teacher, and then police. So we work very collaboratively with the administration as well, because sometimes the arrest isn't the best answer, right? We could just go a different route. To Mayor Murphy's point, it's just about that relationship and that fostering. And a lot of times we'll receive information because of that relationship that's already established. And so we're very fortunate to have officers in each public school. We also have one in our charter school at Lehman. And then they also have ancillary assignments with our private schools as well. So it's very important to us to continuously establish that. I spent my summer meeting with all the principals of all the schools because we like to meet with them during the summer.
Proactive policing.
To really-
Proactive behind the scenes that nobody knows about.
The question I want to ask them is are you getting the best service from us? Are we meeting your needs? And without hesitation, we have in each case, but I think that that's really where it comes down to, of having that opportunity with them and to be able to say, can we do better? Is there something we're missing?
Yeah.
Because we want to self-reflect on that.
yeah, and the selection of those is very important.
Yes.
Because, some just know how to connect in with the youth. A couple of years ago, one of our high schools, the commencement speaker is picked by the students. And it warmed my heart that they happened to pick the SRO
Oh, that's
to
nice.
do their
I didn't know
commencement
that, yeah.
speech
That's really
to
nice.
do that. So that just shows, that connectivity
Yeah.
with, community policing down to the SRO level for
I'm
sure.
gonna tell you an SRO.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna tell you an SRO officer or an SRO story, and it involves you.
Oh, no.
And I bet you guys don't know this story.
That's the danger of live on the
Hey,
air.
no, this is a great story.
Okay.
You're gonna love this.
Okay.
David Samarano, CEO of Live the Dream Media, was an SRO officer at Marana High School
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
for a number of years before he came over here. He transitioned back to the work in the streets prior to coming back here. But just recently, one of the students that he had at Marana High School went online and thanked him publicly
Oh, nice.
for all the encouragement and leadership, mentorship, and he's joining your department.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Okay.
I'll get
Wow.
David if he's around to share it because I don't remember the name, but that just within the last maybe month
Nice.
that he went on publicly and thanked David for his
Coming
mentorship.
full circle, I love
Yeah,
it.
that's
That's
awesome.
great.
Yeah, and
We love
he's
that.
he's joining your department.
And
right.
we just had the teenage graduation. What's that one called for the OVPD?
It's the Teen Academy?
Teen
Yeah.
Academy. So I had the privilege to go to the ceremony when they graduated, and I had no idea there were so many.
Yeah, I think we had
Kids
40
It was-
kids that
So
attended.
a lot of kids, and I went. Councilmember Rob and I went and spoke with one of the young gentlemen, and I said, "Well, what do you plan on after high school?" And he said, "Well, I think I'm going to join the Marines." And I said, "Good choice," given my husband. So I'm going to join the Marines, and then I'm going to come back and work for Oro Valley Police Department. And I said, "I love it. We would love to have you."
yeah,
he
it's
was-
nice.
That would only have been better if he had joined, excuse me, the Air
Air
Force.
Force. Hey.
I was waiting for
But
you,
other than
Tom.
that,
But other
that
than
was
that,
a good choice. It was a good choice.
let me ask you a question real
sure.
quick. Now, you had 40 something this time, is
Yes,
that right?
in the Citizens for
How-
the Teen Academy.
How does that reflect to that time frame we were referencing a while ago? Was the number still there, or is this number increased?
For the Teen Academy?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty steady. We actually, during the pandemic, we weren't able to have the event. So then we ended up having it the following year, and it was so popular, we had to expand it to 2 per summer.
Great.
And so that kind of caught us up a little bit. And then we dropped back down to 1. And so it's been very
So
popular.
you had 60 or so then? Was that fair if you had to do
I would
2?
say, yeah.
You know what? That's encouraging.
Yes.
It's very
That during
encouraging.
that time frame, because I honestly asked that expecting, well, the numbers were off and it was a little
Yeah.
bit. That's very encouraging to me that during that time frame when there was a hard push, especially from the media, to this is, and to have that number.
To that point, I think it was Commander Young that was one of the instructors, and he said something that was really poignant and it stuck with me. And he said, not all of you are going to want to become police officers after this, but if we've done our job, it's in that you now trust us and you know you can come to us. And it fosters that, instead of being scared of police, it fosters that community policing model, right, with our youngsters.
And it's not just a number, because that's compounded. There's a multiplier.
Right. I always...
let's say 10 did and 30 didn't. Well, that 30 now multiplying, that's hundreds.
Sure.
Over the course of time.
And I talk about, when I present to them, and I would also tout the fact that we also have a very robust cadet program. So that's where we have youth from 14 to 21 that come every Monday evening, and they are engaged with our staff and their mentors. And so that really came back again right after the pandemic. We switched from explorers over to cadets, and that program is now, I believe, at 40 to 50 youth. Awesome. And it's very, very popular, and we're so grateful for all of our mentorship with that.
See, this validates everything you and I've talked about recently about, and confirms that this is proactive.
Right.
This isn't just
Looking around
happening,
the corner.
but it's great leadership. People are coming into this program wanting to be a part of this program because what they see, what they hear, what they know about you. And that's, think about it, because I remember being 17.
Sure.
Matter of fact, I love the cops because they act like they love me too. Jack Payne and some of those guys, rest their soul. But that to me validates everything we're sitting here talking about.
Well, and teens nowadays, they struggle with so many issues with social media and things that if you don't find a way to connect them into the community, they're maybe not making the best choices. So anything that can be done to help them make better choices when no one's watching, as we said earlier, it's so important because it is, especially with crime or graffiti. You're either in front of it or you're chasing it, and you'd rather be in front of it and controlling it.
We, as a kid growing up, I grew up in the 60s and 70s, right? There was always the kids. What are we going to do with the kids? And I don't think the situation's changed. I think it's actually compounded again and got, what do we do with the kids? Because there are great parents, or the Roebuck family. Their kids just at the top of so I'll give them, Monica and Shauna, a shout out this morning. Great parenting. They ought to teach a class on great parenting. But so we have great parents. Then we got a lot of parents that maybe can't be great parents because they're too busy working and doing things. So as a community, again, back to what we do as a community, there's so many things I think we can do better. Every community,
right?
How do we provide opportunities? And I'll ask the mayor and the councilwoman here first, and you follow up with from your end. What do we do? Because I see this as still a problem.
Yeah, I think it's just finding ways. And when I was on the school board before, it's finding that whether it's classes or clubs or whatever it might be, because some it might be sports, others education decathlon. We have a really robust Naval Junior ROTC program within our school district. So it's really finding ways to plug them in. We have a student teen advisory council down in our town. So it's really just finding ways to connect them. And I think you're always working against social media because they're being, unlike you and I in the 60s, 70s, they're being bombarded, like literally every minute of the day on what you should look like or think or act. And they have challenges that you and I, Clint,
I just laugh
can't even
about that, Tom.
Imagine.
That's a fantasy world.
Right.
People are not posting their worst days, or they're look at me.
Right.
And I'm like, that car you probably you rented it for the weekend. I mean,
Right.
come on.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that but can we agree, Tom? We just still don't do.
Oh, I think
I'm not being critical
No.
of you. I'm being critical of us as a society. We still
as times change, you have to be flexible, I think, and be open-minded.
That's the key, the flexibility.
because when we grew up in the same era.
Right.
We were together as kids. There wasn't parents when we were playing ball.
It'd be like go out in the morning in
Yeah.
the summer.
And you knew where
come
all your
home.
friends were because you
Yeah.
saw all the bicycles in front of
Exactly.
the house.
Right.
And that was my house. My
Yeah.
parents
Yeah.
Right.
basically, we had a little league field in our backyard, literally. And it was ours.
I'm not surprised.
My
by that.
parents built it for us. They
love it.
wanted to know where their kids were at all
Right.
times and everybody else's kids too.
They were Red Sox
that's
fans
great.
at the
Yeah,
time.
no,
They were there, okay.
What I was going to say was, I love your hat, but I'm going to bring you a Red Sox
Hey,
hat
right.
next time.
I tell you what. I can tell you there was a tiny sliver of time when I was a Red Sox fan, and that was October of 1967 when the Cardinals, who I grew up close to, were playing the Red Sox in the World Series. Cardinals did win that one, by the way.
That had to have been one of the best times in your life.
Yeah.
You were a Red Sox fan.
You're talking to two Murphs
So I
from
was-
New
That's right.
England.
I was a
here.
Red Sox fan for a week.
Yeah.
But to you, and we do. You guys do a great job. We do a great job. But
I think we do. I think, and I'll let Chief take this one, but I had heard at one point that it was actually OVPD that sort of enacted the Parks and Rec program in Oro Valley. I think, 2025,
Yeah, it's
last
been a
Chief, I had heard that coming out, I think Raytheon had a big, huge, move to Oro Valley, and they kind of built, I think it was Kenyatta Hills. They built it, and there weren't any parks. And all of a sudden, they said, OVPD said, we're going to start, they're looking around the corner, and they said, we're going to start having some kids getting into trouble here because they don't have anything to do. So they started the Parks and Rec program, and then it really has grown from there. They're doing an amazing job. And we're keeping those kids busy.
Yeah.
That's the most important
That's
thing.
the key.
Keep them busy. I know we have, a high percentage of retirees in
Yeah.
town that maybe aren't utilizing the parks. We still have a lot of kids.
Yeah,
A lot of
our
kids.
parks are
Yeah.
packed every weekend.
Yes, they are.
It is a busy, busy time. And even with this heat, you'd think, okay, it's not, but it's packed.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty exciting to see, and the expansion of our community center as well,
Yeah.
where we've had some opportunities with them and seeing, the all the kids out there for the summer
4,000
camps.
members
and
now, I think, or something.
it's pretty impressive, and how quickly the summer camps filled up, and we do participate with that as well.
Yeah.
So we do partner with our Parks and Rec a lot,
Yeah.
just to make sure that that the events are safe, but also
Right.
if they want us to participate with anything. And then, for example, we do have a day away with the fifth graders that we participate in called Drug Awareness Day, and that I think we're going on our 12th year, where we bring in all fifth graders throughout all of our schools together for one day, which allows them to learn about making good choices
Right.
as they enter into junior high. So it's just those type of things that we do partner with parks quite a bit, just to be side by side to help with the youth.
It was an amazing day. It was my
Yeah.
It's
first
so
time.
fun.
My first
Yeah.
time
And you know what?
experiencing it was amazing.
It's fun.
we're not messing around with drugs like we did again when we were younger.
Oh, I mean, especially
the
with
drug
fentanyl.
situation. Oh,
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
and that's
can't-
so personal because I have a personal story that
Yeah.
it just breaks my heart every time I think about it.
Yeah, it used to be, be careful what
Yeah.
you take from somebody, and
Yeah.
now really it's you can't take anything
Yeah,
from
yeah.
anybody.
And nor should I mean
Right.
I'm not saying it was, but it just the game has changed.
Yes.
Yes.
since
It has.
we were children to where we are right now.
Right.
I don't want to belabor that point, but Tammy and I drove by Lambert Park not too long ago, and you couldn't even park on the street.
Yeah.
And it was hot. And I'm like, I don't know what it was early on a Saturday. And I'm like, I don't know what they're doing over there, but we need more parking. That was one of the things I worked with the Chicago White Sox in 2008 and TEP and all that whole thing. And we discovered something. And I mentioned it to all the people that you've turned me on to over at Oro Valley. We are even with all we're doing, we're way under where we should be in parks for communities our size.
Well,
We got a lot of open spaces.
Right.
trails and stuff, but I'm talking about parks. We are
and
way.
that's a tough one to keep up on.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
the mayor
Well,
before
it
me,
keeps growing.
He would tease that if we developed every piece of land in our town for a park, we would still be under
we
park.
would
Yeah.
still be
Yeah.
under.
Because down in Sahuarita, our average age is 37.
Yeah, much younger than ours. About half of ours.
So, when school starts, to the chief's point, Copper Hills Little League, the 49ers, I mean, we are just inundated.
Yeah.
And there's almost not enough you can do, but you keep trying.
But you keep pushing.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever reach the number where because we're like way under.
Yeah.
So we're never going to get where like we're okay.
Right.
But we got to, the mark over here. Full
Right.
disclosure.
Yeah.
I was wrong. I did not want to see that happen only because of the money. And it turned out to be way, way more. 3 times. I was over there, did a tour. I'm going to retract. I was wrong.
And how did they was that a half-cent sales tax that they
Yeah,
sunset it?
something
They're going to
I
sunset
think it was a
Yeah.
half cent, yes.
and with a sunset.
And
with the
it
sunset,
went
yeah.
from 21 to 42 to 63.
Yeah,
Okay,
see, I'm
that's full
not
disclosure.
sure that would fly in Oro Valley, to be honest, but I do know that our residents would support
But
potentially half cent for our police. That I know, but
but
maybe not
I'm
parks.
gonna give you a but though. That place is packed.
Yeah.
The numbers are there, so we don't have to do 64. Matter of fact, if you start doing 64, Mary, I'm going to be back going.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put the big but on there. But you know what? I said big but. but the reality of it is that place is packed.
Yeah.
It's generating. I just saw Roxanne, Vice Mayor
I saw
Roxanne.
her post.
I saw her post. You know what? I'm not suggesting that we do that in Marana or in Oro Valley.
Right.
But I think we ought to do some version, our version
Well, to the
of
chief's
that.
point, the community center is, we're
That's it.
maxed out
Yeah.
now. So
See, there you
perhaps
go.
just doing something around
Yeah,
that.
maybe we
you know.
expand that. I don't know.
I think they're looking at parking too because that's an issue because
Yeah.
it has
Always.
become
Yeah.
so popular,
Yeah.
and so that is something I know that they are looking at.
And the problem is, as we discussed a moment ago off camera, we're like built out already. So
95%, yeah.
so we're going to have to do some
But
work.
you have to have that vision, I think,
Exactly.
and plan for the future.
Exactly.
Because if you don't, then
Willing to have the important conversations.
right.
Sit
Yeah.
down at the table with everybody and have those conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it starts with that open dialogue, right, and understanding.
I'm that
what
guy
your
that just
needs
says,
are.
"Hey, could we do?" And then I turn it over. David
To-
goes,
to
"No, we
David.
can't do that." I'm like, "Well, try it."
I like it.
That is
Well,
funny.
we're cruising through here. I'm gonna stop right now asking questions, and I'll just start with the ladies right here, Tom. If you
Yeah,
don't mind.
absolutely. I know my place in the sun. That keeps me out of
We're
trouble.
just so
And
happy
you're
that you
playing-
stayed with us.
Yeah, and for the whole duration, we appreciate that.
Yeah,
But
nice
I-
crossover.
Yeah, I'll just start with you, Mary. Sure. What I don't want to leave anything here. I mean, there'll be plenty of time to talk about other things because we'll just keep moving forward. Will you come back and join us? Will you come back
Absolutely.
and join us? Will you come back and join us?
Absolutely.
You're on the
course.
record. But right now, just in a couple of minutes, where are you at? What are you thinking about? What's your thought process? What have you done recently, or what are you looking at forward?
One word, excited.
Yeah.
I am excited. I think that we're really heading in a great direction in Oro Valley. I think, to your point, there's an important election coming up in July. The mayor's seat and then 3 of the council seats will be up in their 4-year terms. So I'm hearing lots of rumblings out there, some great positive younger people that want to throw their hat in and serve the
It's so
community.
important.
And I'm excited about that. That looking around the corner, the vision. I'm just
I want to blend young and old. I'm not just saying
Yeah.
all. Again, I can
Yeah.
say anything I want about
Yeah,
old
sure you
people
can.
because I am.
Sure you
But
can.
you know what?
But I
we
didn't
need
say it.
we need a mixture. We need a mixture of younger
Yeah.
and older. We need people trained up.
Sure.
So I share your
The
enthusiasm.
chief touched on that from an officer perspective. If you only have, the aging
Yeah.
out and the young, you lose that mentorship in the beginning,
Yeah.
in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so important.
Yeah.
But again, that boils back. It comes back to leadership.
Yes.
And that's why I'm so blessed to know the 3 of you and know what you stand for and what your goals are. You were getting ready to say something, and I interrupt you.
No, I was just going to follow up with what Councilmember Murphy was talking about. For us, our continuous challenge is going to be the recruitment and retention in our profession. So I think really it's important to continue to foster that relationship and explaining to the public what we do. And that's always why we want to always do our outreaching with the media outlets and welcome those opportunities. So I appreciate you giving us that opportunity.
100%.
And also that, every day I get to witness heroes, and it's been just such a blessing to be able to say I'm their chief. These men and women are remarkable, and I would submit to you that we get to work with all of our regional partners, and it's not just Oro Valley, it's all of the Pima County region. The police leadership, we are together all the time, working collaboratively for the betterment of Pima County. And it's not, so I focus on my men and women, obviously. I think they're the best, but I would submit to you that regionally we have that collaboration. It's very unusual. I think that people need to understand that. So there is, to your point, the egos are set aside. We all work collaboratively for the betterment of Pima County. So it is something that we have to continue to always, you can't let off the gas. It's constant that we're having to make sure that we're fostering that.
I want to echo what you just said. I am blessed to know you.
Sweet, thank you.
I'm blessed to know Kurt.
Yes.
I'm blessed to know Officer Young. I'm blessed to know Chief Pridgett.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Got to get him on the show.
I will.
Maybe with Chief.
We'd love that. Officer Brudenkamp, he's the longest tenured employee of the town of Marana.
That's correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
So and I know a lot of you guys and gals that work at both places. That's one of the major benefits for being excited in this community like you are, Mary. I am too. Yeah. When I look at I live in Oro. Ed used to say,
Yes.
Clint, you live in Marana, you sleep in Oro Valley. That's true. That's true.
Right.
But I get the best of both worlds
Sure.
because I get to see, because the average age here is 39. Average age there is 55.
Right.
So I like being awake with 29 or 30-year-olds. But that excitement is what I think drives us as a community, especially, no offense to you, Tom,
absolutely.
but up here.
We have you on the poster wall.
If we could just wrap around, if we could figure out a way to just sneak around that mountain down there. And
Right.
You have some great officers. Working with Rockin' for Heroes, full disclosure, as a volunteer, I get to meet as Commander, right?
Yes,
Amato.
Commander Amato,
Commander
yes.
Amato is amazing. And I remember the groundbreaking for the memorial at Narangha Park in all the way up here in Oro Valley, right? And I turn over, and there's Mayor and there's Commander Amato coming all the way to Oro Valley to show their support for the
program,
for the memorial.
Yeah,
that we just built.
And I think if we don't continue to try to find ways to act regionally, because nothing stops, whether
Right.
good stuff
Yeah.
or bad stuff, it doesn't stop at the border of any of our communities.
Correct.
And whether
Yeah.
it's policing
Yeah.
or infrastructure, we got to figure out ways. And the other movement I've seen, which I'm very happy about with policing, is touching on the mental health and keeping them, because the things they see, we don't even have a clue really as leadership on what they have to experience, and to be able to take care of them, to hold them.
Yeah.
We have a program, right?
Yeah, so we started it. We look at it 4 pillars of wellness. So it's both providing confidential counseling. So we want to make sure that we're providing that anonymous counseling. And even during the pandemic, we were able to do that virtually for them as well. And then we also have physical fitness on shift is allowed. And then we started a financial pillar as well to just give financial advice for the long term. And then we talk about nutrition as well, because sometimes we like to do drive-throughs at fast foods, and we want to avoid that. We want to.
I didn't hear the word donut.
No, I was going to say no donut shops,
No
though,
donut
right?
shops. So so we do really focus, and we really throw different programs at them that we just say it's a grocery store of wellness. You choose what you want. Or not. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Because generationally, you'll see the difference of people wanting to choose or not. So
Yeah, we had a rock star officer who graduated. She graduated, I think, top in the class, and came on a wellness call. And they think the body had been there a number of days and left policing just because of that that interaction.
Yeah.
So again, I don't think the average person realizes the trauma that they have to, the old adage, why we're running the other way, they're running in, right? So, to continue to focus on their mental health and their well-being is hopefully how you'll get an officer to stay with us,
Yeah.
for the duration.
And it is, so we're grateful with our mayor and council supporting that because it is costly. I mean, we understand that. But, to the mayor's point, if we can continue to keep them happy and healthy, they stay long term and they treat the public well. And so I think it's kind of this whole holistic view that you have to take a look at. But it's very much changed in our profession where it used to be a subject we didn't talk about.
Right.
And we've had to really have those open dialogues of saying, no, this is real. And it's not just the police, it's our property and evidence. It's our records who have to deal with the redaction of body camera footage. It's our 911 operators who only hear it and they never get a closure to it. And so it's really a different dynamic. You have to foster each situation you're focused on. Yeah.
I'm going to guess and say that's got to be maybe not the most important, but it's got to be right at the top,
Absolutely.
2 or 3, because as you were talking, because I've been, I've known and had a lot of police officers in my life over the years. I know you've been doing this a number of years. That's got to be. You can't turn that off. Like to your point,
it's tough.
So you see something that is. I think, and it's probably underappreciated by the rest of us that just they're doing their job and they write a few tickets,
a speeding ticket or
and
something, right?
But because I've experienced in my time a few of those situations myself, being the first on a scene or something.
Right.
You live with that.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And so to address that, am I fair and like it's got to be in the top 2 or 3 things?
100%. Yeah, it's with me all the time because it's those parts too. Is even as the leader that I will check in with them if I can, or with our peer support group, just to make sure. Because even if we get a call, we had a call last week that was very difficult. I know it's gone on, so we want to make sure that we're circling back and making sure that we've touched base with that person and allowing them that support and know that it's there. And it's also not only them; it's their families.
Right. That's what I was
So
just gonna
I
say.
think that's something I call our spouses, our behind the scene heroes, because they are. And Councilmember Murphy can attest to this. But it is. My husband's also retired from policing, and so it is very important to know that it does live with you, and those things, those critical calls are very important that we address them as leaders and make sure that we're providing that best care for them. Because otherwise it will haunt you. And so it's just those things that you have to, which we also partnered regionally with Chief Kazmar out of the Tucson Police with Struggle
exactly.
Well, which is a program through Boulder Crest that we've invited to our agency as well. And it's been very successful.
I'm going to ask you a quick question about this. When did that become... when did police departments kind of like as a whole? Because for so many years it was just primarily men in the job,
Right.
and it's just you just get it over. You just go home and if you got to kill it with alcohol or whatever, then you But at what point did this become important to?
So for me, I can say that I would probably guess around the 2019-20, it started to become a topic.
So it was just that new that we started talking about this?
Yeah, I remember going to the International Chiefs of Police and start to begin to have those tough topics about suicide in our profession. And so then it was just one of those where it became even more real, and to the point now that we actually have a section of our training that it's training and wellness. We just added, thanks to our council, we just added a wellness officer. So that person will be full-time approaching that. So it is just something that is really...
In the last
5, 6, 7 years.
That explains a lot because I, again, mentioned a lot of police officers in my past. And
well, we've failed some of those that we've 100%
they ended their
failed.
lives. I mean, I think of a couple of people that I thought as like the toughest people in that profession. And you go,
oh, we failed them.
What happened here?
And a lot like the military with,
Same,
Mary's husband, my service, it's, it was, you just got to grit it and, and push it down. And then PTSD, really started to surface. And maybe some of that happening earlier for the military opened up some of that dialogue for the police.
Well, as a society, we've just pretty much turned our back because kid growing up, you don't want to end up in Anna. Anna was where they had the crazy house, and they just closed. They just in what, the 80s, they just turned everybody loose and go
Right.
self-medicate. And so many of our problems as a society go right back to we need to be checking ourselves and checking each other because it's horrible.
Yeah.
And I think a good many of our problems come from just mental illness
Oh, sure.
that, if checked could probably be monitored to some degree. And especially in the professions that you're in and you were in and your husband is in. And those are just, again, my experiences with being like, I've learned to deal with them, and it wasn't crimes per se. These were typically accidents, but the results are bad.
Right.
Sure.
And you just go, I'm going to repress that because there's nothing I can do to fix it. But
And that usually only is temporary. And obviously it ends up coming out maybe in domestic violence or something
you know
like
what?
that.
Craig Coulter preached on that very subject. If you've had a problem in your past, don't push it back. Deal
Right.
with it right on because, if you were a victim as a child or some of these things, you got to learn to get help on that
Right.
stuff.
And society, I think, is more open to having that conversation.
Yeah.
Where,
Thank goodness.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. For the health.
Yeah, toughen up. Man, this was a quick hour. Okay.
Is it over? What?
Yeah, boom.
Wow.
Let's do part 2. So, any last words?
I have spoken with Chief Brandhuber
Beautiful.
of Golder Ranch, and he's happy to come on in the
Beautiful.
future with me.
Yeah.
Perhaps we could bring Chief along with
Yeah,
us and have
yeah,
the two leaders
I'd love that.
of Oro Valley
I'd love that.
come on together.
Yeah.
Because it's a symbiotic relationship, right? Your
So-
leadership, your
So this particular show is Move, Marana Oro Valley Experience with the S on the
With
end.
the S on the end. That's
So
why I
this
stuck around.
we talk about a lot of stuff
I think you need a
around
bigger
here,
table.
but we can do that. We can do that. But this specific show is about the places that we love
Yeah.
and we call home. This is my adopted home. I feel like I grew up here. Right? It's that environment.
Yeah.
Everybody knows everybody. One of my friends early on said, Clint, everybody knows everybody.
Right.
Treat everybody nice. I'm like, well, I would anyway, but it's nice to have that heads up.
And I would say more Murphys and elected official positions is a good day at the end
There
of the
you
day.
go. That's
it.
As long
Hey,
as the Red Sox
crazy
fans.
guy.
Yeah, as long as no Red Sox fan. And for the record, there are 9 seats open next year between Oro Valley and Marana.
And do you have seats?
Yeah, we have 3.
You have 3.
Three
Okay,
open.
so you're
So
in
that's
your minority
12
here.
seats that are open next year. And I say this all the time, and I bet you will agree with me. The next election is the most important election in our lifetime.
Right.
Now, the next one after that will be
Well,
an election.
absolutely.
But it is because if in some cases if we don't make some changes, we're going to keep repeating what we've been in the negative. If in other
Absolutely.
places, if we allow changes
Right.
or
It
we
could
have
work
changes, it could work.
the
So
opposite
we have
way.
right now for us sitting in between, we want to make a few changes, and we really don't. We're good where we're at.
Right.
Does that make
right.
sense?
No, it does. And obviously continuing to focus on the foundational, what I think good governance is, and it comes with safety first
Yeah.
in a
Yep.
community.
Always safety
100%.
first.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for
for your
having
service.
me.
Thank
Yeah,
you for what
appreciate
you
it.
do. We appreciate it because you know what? The cool thing is, I lay down in bed over there on Player, and I just there must be a couple of older people live north of me because we do get the fire trucks every now and then. My dog gives me a heads up; they're coming.
Yeah, the howling.
But
And
that's
we're,
the
and
only.
we're lucky that we have them. to come.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because they're there every time.
And
They
by the
are
way, a little
amazing.
teaser for
Yeah.
the next episode when we're all together
Yeah.
is, I mean, when you call 911 in Oro Valley,
You're gonna get
you're
it.
not, and you say there's a medical emergency. You're not just getting
No.
the medics.
Yeah.
The police are showing up.
You call 911, somebody's showing up like
Yeah.
in a minute
And
or two.
in
of course.
multiples too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Which I
from
always,
both agencies, just to make sure.
hear about.
yes, absolutely.
But for me, if I can just give a shout
Yeah,
out
please.
to, and gratitude to you, but also to our community for supporting the police like they do, and frankly, thanking the men and women that I get to be with every day. They're amazing.
They are.
Just so grateful
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah. Tom?
Yeah, no, I'm just other than more Murphys running, I think we're in a good place. But to your point, if we don't keep good direction moving, it's going to hurt our region, and we have to be cognizant, and we have to find other good people, that want to serve. I mean, it truly is public service. and hopefully
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, and hopefully you're serving.
Sometimes I think we lose sight of that.
Right.
Yeah.
That it is public service that we're involved
Yeah.
in.
We work for the residents.
Yeah.
right.
All day long.
Yep.
That's my boss.
You know, go ahead, Tom.
I was
think
going to say,
you-
I think she makes 30 cents an hour. I make
35,
about,
35.
Yeah.
35. I make 30.
I was having, okay, vote a raise. Vote a raise. I'm serious. And Marana is doing that. I've been on them forever.
they are. They
And
make a lot more than we do.
But you know what though? How are you going to attract more people and younger people
I have,
to this
I have
profession?
said that before. Yeah.
If
It's not
you
something I would do
don't-
for myself.
No, it's
but
very hard because
Yeah.
you don't want to do it for yourself.
I would do it. I
but
think
you
there's a term
understand.
for
I
that,
get it,
right?
yes.
For if you vote it for future.
But
Yeah,
guys,
Future
that's
council.
leadership.
Yeah.
That you're having to, because there's going to be some people upset with you that you're going from 30 cents an hour.
Right, to
Because
35.
Roxanne and I were talking about this recently, and I'm like, Roxanne, you don't even make minimum wage.
Right.
Oh, I definitely
Because
don't.
I guessed her salary and what she takes home. I'm like, Roxanne, that's not even minimum wage. How are you going to get? It's great that you guys and you're older and you don't. I get it, but how are you going to get that next generation?
Yeah.
If you don't give them a little bit of money
Right.
to entice, they shouldn't do it for money.
Right. Exactly.
But you
But
could
you
make
should
more
be-
at McDonald's and you get
Exactly.
free food.
But you got-
so there's
You got to. I think you got to pay half time. But you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
That, and I was really adamant with Ed and Roxanne and John. Go and vote this thing in, and go ahead and do it right. Don't
Right.
mess around and vote it in because it's not going to affect you unless you're still there in a few years anyway.
Right.
So, and most of them probably won't be.
Yeah.
But give that next in line a little bit of compensation, not incentive,
Right.
because that money wouldn't incentivize anybody.
right.
Right.
Am I sorry? Am I wrong?
I'll just say I did not do it for the money.
If you did, you picked the wrong gig.
I did not. But I do want to give one quick shout out again.
please do.
Rockin' for Heroes, November 9th.
I had it written down as
Yeah.
well
did
to
you?
remind you.
Thank you.
The day after my birthday, so they're
So
celebrating.
is your
Yes.
birthday? Is your
And
birthday
Sahuarita will
November
be there
8th.
representing.
November 8th?
Yes.
So we're scorpions.
Yes, we
Yeah.
are.
So 2 p.m. at
So-
JDK Park.
You'll probably need to just stay in Oral Valley because you'll come up for I'm going to give a shout out. OVCN does the Veterans Day
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
thing, and it will be on your
The day
birthday.
before.
Right.
No-
yeah, I have to get
November 8th.
permission with my family to be
I
anywhere
know
other
a
on my
great
birthday.
resort you can stay right across the street. It's called the El Conquistador
I
Hilton.
know.
And
The one thing we're missing down in Sahuarita is a great resort.
And I know a great place we can go have lunch
Ooh.
with the best view in the valley.
I'll be at the park working, so you guys have fun.
Well, Tom and I'll be over at the Highlands having lunch at the.
Oh,
By
yeah.
then we can go outside.
There you go.
Yeah, it won't
yeah,
be so
yeah.
hot.
Yes, it will.
Yeah, those
Hey,
important
guys.
Marana sales tax dollars. Thanks a lot,
What?
Clint.
You get the last word. You get the last word.
Just thanks to the men and women of the Oro Valley Police Department. They're amazing.
And from 2 elected officials, thanks
And
for your
thank you.
service to
Yeah,
the
thank
community.
you.
Yeah.
Thanks for
absolutely.
coming on,
Absolutely.
Chief.
Yeah.
I asked her to get you. I said, get her like as soon as possible. Hey, guys, thank you. Hey, I'm going to encourage you, all the listeners, and it doesn't matter where you live. You can live in Sahuarita, you can live in Marana, you can live in Oral Valley, you can live in Tucson, you can live in Phoenix. Take time to be involved in your community.
Right. And thank a cop.
Yeah, and thank a cop today. Thank a cop every time you see one, right?
Yep.
And let's start building some bridges. Let's start working together. Even if we disagree. I heard somebody say it, and I've been saying this for years. Even if we've only got one thing we agree on, and I'll bet we got 8 out of 10 or
Right.
6 out of 10, start building on that. Too much of this hostility, too much of these left and right, and I'm not a believer in that, by the way. It's Are we going forward? Are we falling behind? So, guys, be nice to each other. It's not that hard if you try.